Tonight, we are nearing the end of Joe Biden's first 3 weeks in office, and the very weak, frail, cognitively struggling president, well, he's still lost and confused. And meanwhile, his radical Green New Deal agenda is wreaking havoc on what could have been a robust V-shaped recovery. Today, jobs report, it wasn't good. Our economic growth, anemic. Labor participation rate has gone down. Only 6,000 private sector jobs were created. Even fake news CNN had to admit that it is a grim sign for a recovery. And to make matters worse, we got thousands of high-paying career union jobs instantly vanished just in the last 2 weeks after Biden canceled the Keystone XL pipeline with the stroke of a pen. And thousands more of those jobs also lost when he stopped border wall construction. And guess what? Hundreds of thousands of more, those high-paying career jobs will also be gone as Joe follows through on his promise and his plan to cancel all oil and gas pipelines and block drilling and exploration in Anwar, Alaska, something Donald Trump opened up. But today at the White House, Joe Biden openly wondered, well, where did all the jobs go? Maybe you shouldn't have gotten rid of them. Take a look.
January job numbers came out today. And while we're grateful for everyone who found work and is earning a paycheck, it's very clear our economy is still in trouble. We added just 6,000 private sector jobs in the country last month. These aren't Democrats or Republicans, they're Americans, and they're suffering. They're suffering not because of anything they did. Through no fault of their own, they're suffering. I see enormous pain in this country. A lot of folks out of work, a lot of folks going hungry, staring at the ceiling tonight wondering, what am I going to do tomorrow? A lot of folks trying to figure out how to keep their jobs.
A lot of those Americans suffering, Joe, you caused that. You got them the pink slips. You ensured their careers were derailed, their dreams, their hopes shattered with it. And as predicted, we're now entering Joe Biden's dark winter, and it's only going to get darker. Millions out of work, no ability to pay their rent, their mortgage, health insurance, car, truck payment, put food on the table. And this comes as the Biden administration is opening the floodgates at our southern border. Not only did Biden stop all the border wall construction, but now he's reviving the Obama era policy of catch and release. Well, that means that, yeah, illegal immigrants apprehended at the border, they'll simply be released right into American cities. I wonder if they'll show up for their court dates. I doubt it. And not only does that create obvious health and security concerns, especially in light of the pandemic, but that also will flood the job market with cheap labor at a time when millions of Americans are out of work, which means Americans won't be hired, and wages, now they have so many more workers and then 11 million getting legal status, yeah, wages will plummet. But fear not, because the Biden administration is working on a plan to send free masks to Americans. Hey, Joe, you need to wake up from your nap, because every American, I could say fairly confidently, has a mask or has access to one if they want one. And of course, they also want to wipe out all student loan debt for all of those who racked it up, this huge debt in exchange for a BA in, I don't know, sociology or climate change. And meanwhile, Joe Biden's promise to send $2,000 direct payments to Americans, well, that now has been reduced to $1,400. A $1,400 plan to maybe send payments to some Americans. And even far-left actress Susan Sarandon, she's angry, calling Biden out on Twitter. If voters feel like Dems are pulling a bait and switch, do not be surprised when they don't show up in 2022 or 2024. And while Susan is uneasy, most of the radical socialist progressives in the Democratic Party, they seem to be elated. They don't seem to care about the high-paying career union jobs wiped out or direct payments to Americans, because they're focused on something much bigger, and that is satisfying their rage, their psychosis, their hate against Donald Trump, and they have to save the planet, because Ocasio-Cortez says we only have 12 years, and they believe Joe Biden is meeting this critical moment by giving pink slips to a lot of American workers. Take a look.
I'd like to get your grade, your assessment and reaction to these first few weeks of the Biden presidency. Well, keep in mind, Joe Biden ran on the most progressive agenda ever. And now he is meeting the moment. And we need to continue to hold everyone accountable to the promises that have been made. It's a good time.
So let us state the obvious one more time. The radical socialists that run the Democratic Party, that are in charge, they're setting the agenda and they're writing the executive orders, and Joe just signs them. This is really their presidency. Joe Biden is not in charge. You can see it every day. Frail, declining, weak, cognitively struggling. Frankly, a shell of the guy that he was 10 years ago or even 4 years ago, seemingly aimlessly roaming the halls of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in between his naps. And yesterday, during what was a meandering speech, he didn't seem to know what he was even talking about or even where he was. I'm not making this up. Add this to the long montage we have already put out. Take a look.
Challenging the will only to be solved by nations working together and in common. We can't do it alone. That must be we must start with diplomacy. Take on directly the challenges posed by our prosperity, security, and democratic values by our most serious competitor, China. To reinvigorate our leadership on the LGBTQI issues. Going this way. Thank you all.
Which way do I go? The LGBTQCIPXLY. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Well, Joe wasn't much better today either. Gave a speech about the economy. And again, today, like yesterday, lost and confused. Or maybe, as the song says, dazed and confused. Take a look.
It's one more thing, and I want to say it very clearly on this, be very clear on this point. It's better economics. It not only addresses the immediate crisis we're in, it's better for the long-term economic health of our nation and our competitiveness. Don't take my word for it. Just look at what leading economists across the nation have said and in the world and across the ocean have said. The nonpartisan Brookings Institution has looked at the American Rescue Plan and said the GDP will reach pre-pandemic projections by 2021, meaning we'll have recovered by end of 2021. Much sooner, by the way, than if we do nothing.
Okay, let's compare that tape to 10 years ago. Per usual, Joe took 0 questions after that train wreck of a speech, and he's reading the teleprompter. And this weekend, he's headed to his family home in Delaware for much-needed rest and relaxation. He misses his hideaway bunker and the birds interfering with his prepared speeches or his moments with his sunglasses. Joe's definitely going to need to recharge because in just a few days, the second unconstitutional impeachment with a predetermined outcome. And before passing a COVID relief package or an infrastructure package or getting kids back to school, Democrats will now devote their time, their efforts, your money to another pointless political smear, one last great shot at former President Trump. This is what unity looks like in Joe Biden's swamp in Washington. Democrats play destructive political games. You, we, the American people, you get left holding the bag.